Make sure you are seated comfortably, your body relaxed. Close your eyes and focus your attention on your breath, feeling the gentle rise and fall of your lungs. Allow any tensions and worries to slip away with each out-breath, releasing all negativity. With each in-breath, draw in purifying, clean air. Slowly let all outside concerns fade away. The space around you begins to darken as your attention moves inwards. Everything fades away, leaving only a quiet, peaceful darkness. You rest a moment in the darkness, feeling yourself safe and secure. The darkness spreads out in all directions, vast and silent. You rest within the great void, Ginunga Gap, the emptiness before creation, before the beginning of time and the birth of space. Within this void all things will come into being. In the very distance, on either side of you, you are aware of the realms of fire and ice, so far away you can barely perceive them. Through their union, force and form will come into being and the worlds will be set in motion. It is in this place that you will meet Wunjo. In the centre of the void you see a small light, a tiny spark of vitality. You call the name of Wunjo 3 times to bring it into being. Through the power of your voice, the spark of light transforms, glowing palest yellow, shining so bright it is almost white. The light transforms into the shape of the Wunjo rune. It grows larger and larger, shining brightly in the darkness, steadily moving towards you until it comes to a rest, waiting for you to enter. Slowly you pass through the rune and into the realm beyond. You are standing in a farmyard. You smell the sweet scent of hay coming from the barn behind you, while ahead a brood of chickens runs in a disorderly line around the yard before disappearing into their coop. The evening is just drawing in. Over the gate a silver moon is barely visible against the deepening sky, while, in the west, the sun is still warming the thick walls of your family's farmhouse. Through the kitchen door you can hear the chatter of women and the clatter of dishes. Preparations for the feast are well underway. You have just come from the orchard and the scent of blossoms still lingers about you. As you passed each tree a flood of memory swept over you, of scraped knees and hide and seek, of the sharp taste of apples not yet ready, and, when this end of summer came, of their sweet juices dribbling down your chin. You laugh, remembering the whack of your father's hand on the back of your head as he fished the apple cores from your pockets and sent you to clean out the pigs as punishment. The rhythms of the farm are so deeply ingrained within you that you don't even need to think to know that the cattle will be returning for the night, and, indeed, as you listen intently, you think you hear the sound of tinkling bells in the distance. The deep thrumming of the insects will be softening now as the bees return to their hives. The dragonflies will still be dancing happily across the waters of the pond, and the moths will soon be unfurling their wings. The only difference to the normal farm business is a single wagon, already loaded up in the barn, waiting for the coming of morning. You stand, and down the lane you hear the sound you have been waiting for. You run to open the gate, and your master's wagon pulls through. Your master greets you cheerily, and beside him his wife is all rosy smiles and gay laughter. Their children wave at you and stretch out their arms to be lifted down. Packed in the back with the children, you see an old man dressed in a grey cloak, who your master explains is an old retainer of the family. The master is a huge giant of a man, strong, hard-working, and as boisterous now as he was when he courted his wife, as she has told you often during the years you have been apprenticed to him. You are used to seeing him in his working gear, but tonight he wears a bright red tunic and looks every inch the town elder. You shout to the house that your master has arrived, and your youngest brother hurries out to lead their horse away to feed. You help your master's family down from the wagon, and courteously assist the old stranger in descending. He mutters absently as you take his weight, but just for a moment he looks at you with one keen eye, and you realise that he is perhaps not as simple as his mutterings might suggest. Inside, your mother and sisters have prepared a wonderful feast. The air is filled with delicious aromas, both savoury and sweet. Your mother has prepared all your favourite foods and clucks about you tenderly as the guests shown to their seats, and your eldest brother comes in from the fields with the farm hands. The hands sit down at the far end of the room and loudly declare that they never knew such a feast in honour of one so young and inexperienced, but they all nod and smile proudly at you as they tuck in. You hug your mother and thank her for her troubles. She hugs you tightly back and whispers that she loves you before quickly returning to her duties. Tonight you sit with your mother, father and the master's family at the top table. You smile over at your brothers and sisters, in some ways wishing that you were with them. You think sadly that you won't be part of the squabbles and pranks any more, and when you need a friend, you won't be able to run to your childhood companions for comfort. Then you remember that you won't have to share a pallet bed either, and the days of sleeping under the master's table are also now over. It is dark outside now, and the room is lit with the dancing flames of candles, oil lamps, and the family hearth fire. As your master stands and clears his throat, the room becomes hushed. He recounts the work you have done with him, your achievements and your failures. He speaks warmly of the relationship you have built with his family, and of his pride in your work. Then he turns to you. It is time now that I present you with the mark of the Guild, recognising that you have attained sufficient knowledge and skill to leave my service and set up on your own. It saddens me that you must leave us, for we have shared much joy together, but you go forth with our blessings in the knowledge that you have made your master and your family proud. As the Guild seal is presented, your mother cries, and your father looks fit to burst with pride. Your eldest brother nods proudly too. For him there will be no great adventure out into the world, and until now you have always envied him this. But in this moment you feel the excitement in the air, the buzz of anticipation, and you know that this is just for you. At this moment the joy of your family is centred upon you, and you are held within each of their hearts. There is much song and laughter that night, and you joke with your master as he chivies his family to the wagon that you will be unable to drive the following morning and will be showing up for work as usual. He hugs you warmly and jokes back that if he sees you, he'll chase you off with his broom. One by one your siblings retire to bed, each coming in turn to offer tears, smiles, jokes and reminders to visit soon and to bring them as many presents as your wagon will carry. Your mother and father sit by the fire with you, restating the advice and counsel which you have heard many times before over the last year. You remind them that they have raised you well and equipped you with all that you need and much more. Your wagon is filled with all the provisions you will need to set up a well-stocked home, and your strongbox has enough funds to set up a thriving trade. It is impossible for you to tell them how much you owe, so you simply take their hands, and before the glowing embers of your family's hearth fire, you thank them for all that they have given you, and promise that you will make them proud. Then you are alone. You stare into the fire, thinking of the quiet bustle of the farm, and the busy house and business of your master. In many ways you have put off this moment, not quite wanting to believe that it is real. You know that you are ready, but a part of you wishes that the warm glow of love and kinship which you feel right now could go on forever, unchanging and perfect. These moments fly like the wind, comes a quiet, cracked old voice from the corner. You jump up with a start, knocking your chair backwards. It is the old man. You thought he had left with your master, but no, he had been sitting quietly in the corner all this time. The joy you feel now will turn bitter if you try to hold it, he says knowingly. He stands and shuffles forward into the light. Accept a gift from this old man. All I ask is a seat in your wagon for the first hours of the morning in exchange. He reaches into his pocket and draws out a small nut. Not wishing to offend him, you accept it graciously. He smiles, and once again you feel that keen stare upon you. You doze by the fire, listening to the old man snore. You are too filled with emotions to sleep. You carefully cover the embers of the fire to keep them hot for your mother in the morning, and wait for the light to come. And so it does, all too soon, filling the sky with the crisp light of a brand new day. Quietly you and the old man leave the farmhouse and go out into the yard. You hitch the horse your parents have gifted you to the wagon and help the old man up. Then you are away, out of the farm gate, down the lane, heading away from the town. On and on you go until at last you reach a point in the road where familiarity leaves you and you know that you are truly, truly leaving home. You thought the old man was asleep, but now he stirs, asking you to stop. "This is where I leave you," he says. "I know the way home from here." You draw the wagon to a halt, but before you dismount he stays your arm. "Have you the nut I gave you?" he asks. You nod, glad that you didn't throw it away, as you had intended. "Open it now," he whispers. "Open it now and think of home." You look questioningly at him, but he nods encouragingly and gives you a toothy grin. Obligingly you fish out the nut from your pocket. As you examine it, you realise that it is hinged with a thin strip of leather. Carefully you open the nut. At first you cannot make it out. All you see is a point of light glinting, perhaps a drop of water, or a sliver of silver-white hair. But as you look closer, you see that it is a tiny Wunjo rune. It spins joyfully in the centre of the nut, seemingly suspended in mid-air. You peer closer to see how the trick is done, and as you watch, the spinning rune whirs faster and faster, and then, all of a sudden, it swings to a halt, like a compass, you think. As you watch, the light of the Wunjo rune grows steadily brighter, a single strand of light emitting from it, slowly stretching out along the road like a thread of coiling light. In your vision, the thread of light grows longer and longer, reaching out along the road, far, far into the distance. It travels along waysides, over hills, through a woodland, past a number of villages, and then, in the distance, you see a village, much the same as the others, but somehow brighter. You see new houses being built around it, businesses being set up, land being farmed for the first time. To the right of the village's centre, you see a ray of sunlight falling, lighting up a patch of land, illuminating the rich green soil, turning the small stream running through it to brilliant silver. You see a handsome workshop nestled by the water, and then a house. Slowly the land around the house changes. You see a herb garden, an orchard, chickens and pigs, then a second workshop space, and a smartly painted wagon for taking goods to the town. You see a man and woman together, a baby in her arms, and a small child tugging at her skirts. This is my home, you think. This is the home that I will build for myself, stone by stone. This is the home that I hold in my heart. The vision shines intense and brilliant inside you, joining with that sense of home that you have carried with you from your past, becoming a vision of your own future, a vision of that which you wish for, of that which you hope for, of that which you know now is waiting for you, as the Wunjo rune shows you the way. Slowly the vision fades, and you see the small nut resting in your hand once more, the tiny Wunjo rune still poised at its heart, pointing the way. You look up in wonder to thank the man, but he is gone. You look once more to the Wunjo rune. Onwards, it whispers. Slowly the Wunjo rune rises up into the air above you, and you know that your journey with it must now come to an end. It moves forwards until it rests upon the road, growing larger and larger, glowing in beautiful golden light, beckoning you home. You climb down from the wagon, feeling yourself already returning to your own consciousness, remembering your own wishes, your own dreams. The Wunjo rune whispers to you that each person's home is different, but that it can lead the way for each and every individual who asks. Slowly you walk towards the golden Wunjo rune and pass through it, feeling its power caress you as you pass out of the realm of Wunjo into darkness once more. Standing in the darkness, you give thanks to the rune for its lessons and energy. You watch as it fades away, leaving you in darkness, ready to return to your physical form. Slowly you let your attention return to your physical body, feeling the darkness around you start to fade. You let your awareness expand to the space around you as the darkness recedes. You feel yourself centered within your body, your attention focused on your physical presence, your breath and your heartbeat. The Wunjo rune has gone, and you begin to wiggle your fingers and toes, bringing yourself back to your working space. Take your time, and when you are ready, open your eyes.